First of all, let me give you the facts. There was a $3 billion accounting error, which we know is not an error, but there's a $3 billion accounting error by the Pentagon. Now, with an honest press that didn't have an agenda, that would be huge news. That would be an investigation into corruption, lying, or at the very least, government inefficiency, malfeasance, and dumbassery. If we had an honest press. But no. The idea is to spin. Okay, so now you have the facts, the basic facts. Now listen to how it's presented by the Associated Press. The Pentagon has overestimated the value of weapons it has sent to Ukraine by at least $3 billion, an accounting error that could be a boon for the war effort, because it would allow the Defense Department to send more weapons now without asking Congress for more money. Literally, that's one sentence, the first paragraph by AP, and they already spun it as a positive in favor of Ukraine. Everyone's in on the war mongering and the military industrial complex. Yet I'm the one kicked off of YouTube for inciting violence, as I'm a very vocal proponent of peace and not nation building and war. We live in truly evil times, folks. Biblical evil times. These are the last days prophesied by the great prophets of old in both the Old Testament and by Jesus himself and the apostles in the New Testament. Oh, but the AP is not done spinning this BS. The acknowledgement comes at a time when Pentagon is under increased pressure by Congress to show accountability for the billions of dollars it has sent in weapons, ammunition, and equipment to Ukraine, and as some lawmakers question whether the level of support should continue. It could also free up more money for critical weapons as Ukraine is on the verge of a much anticipated counteroffensive, which will require as much military aid as they can get. Zelensky has previously said the offensive was delayed because they did not yet have everything they needed. The first three paragraphs of the AP report by Tara Kopp and Lolita C. Balder are, hey, the Pentagon, wink wink, made an accounting error, but guess what? That's good because Ukraine needs those money and those weapons for their counteroffensive, and they didn't get it. But now that this accounting error occurred, now there's no problem. They can do it to stave off and fight off that mean old Putin. You know, the one that we reported for years was in bed with Trump. That Trump was Putin's biatch and Putin's puppet. The error was caused when officials overvalued some of the systems sent to Ukraine, using the value of money it would cost to replace an item completely rather than the current value of the weapons. Oh, that just sounds like a small little accounting error. Anyone can make that error. I'm sure they didn't do it on purpose. Listen to Democrat Representative Crow. Even with $3 billion in extra Ukraine money, we have a supply chain issue and can't necessarily provide more. This is Jason Crow, a Democrat out of Colorado. This is his reaction. Even if we are able to provide more, we have a supply chain issue and our partners have a supply chain issue. It doesn't mean there is actually more to provide. Coming from a Democrat, that's probably a lie, meaning there's no problem getting more weapons to Ukraine. Crow stated that while it is a problem that the Department of Defense still can't properly account for its budget and assets and still fails audits, the good news is it doesn't appear as though it's going to materially affect the provisions of our aid to Ukraine, because we've been sending stuff very aggressively, very fast for 16 months now to Ukraine, and we'll continue to do that. So even if we are able to provide more, we have a supply chain issue and our partners have a supply chain issue. It doesn't mean there's actually more to provide. We can only produce munitions and weapons so fast. So having more money available, and it's actually unclear how much more we have available, doesn't mean we can actually do more at this point, which just obviously means they're going to be doing more at this point. Oh, don't worry about it. This accounting error, this Democrat says out of Colorado, don't worry about it. It doesn't actually mean we can send them more. Nod, nod, wink, wink. We are being hoodwinked. Folks, it hurts to pay taxes because of its mismanagement. But right now, it's not just painful. It's the most painful thing I've ever had was what the doctors think. Oh, this is after 9/11. This is after 9/11. I had this really, really bad pain that went from like my right nipple all the way across my side to my back. And I was going crazy. So I went to my dermatologist. And the dermatologist told me, dude, you haven't broken out yet, but that's a nerve tract, shingles. And honestly, in my entire life, except for one time when I had my teeth whitened and they put 2 coats on, they said, we've got enough for a 3rd coat, but you may be sensitive at this point. I said, hey, let's try for that 3rd one. And just as they started, that's the most recent worst pain I've ever felt. I mean, it was a shock to my body. I felt like I was going to pass out. For those that have experienced that, any kind of, mouth nerve pain will know what I'm talking about. Previous to that, the most painful thing I can remember ever feeling was that what the doctor said was shingles. Now, I say what the doctors say because I had all the symptoms of it, except I never had any kind of rash and I had any kind of breakout. But they gave me, I think it was Valtrex, whatever they give you for that, and tons of painkillers. And, but I remember having put up with that pain for overnight until I made an emergency appointment with a dermatologist. And I felt like I was absolute the worst pain ever. I say all that to say this. Paying taxes before was like stubbing your toe or having a hangnail or a scrape. Very painful, but you could put up with it. With all this mismanagement of money and all this money going to Ukraine, open borders, kicking out our homeless vets to put in illegal aliens in luxury hotels, now paying taxes is like having nerve pain in the mouth while sitting strapped to a chair with shingles. At least it is for me.